Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Our first coincidence miracle today is from someone who was traveling on a highway, and they were praying for wisdom. They were asking God for wisdom to make some decisions, and they were talking about things with God and asking for help. And I do that often when I'm on a long trip. It's a great time to have discussions with God and ask for ideas and inspirations, etc. So the person is sharing with us that at the end of their trip, as they were getting off the highway, they saw that they were following a car with a license number 555, which means the grace and the presence of God. So it was a clue and a sign and a coincidence because it was happening as they got off the highway. It was a clue that God was inspiring them and they were making a good decision. They also tell us that the decision turned out very favorable, so we know it did turn out well for them. Our next coincidence miracle is from someone who received one of our books as a gift, and the person who gave them the book as a gift put a bookmark at random into the book, just at random. And they remember one of our past stories where I did that in cases where I was giving people books at book signings. I was inspired, to open at random to certain pages and put bookmarks in there. And very often I would have people come back in a state of awe and say, that bookmark was exactly on the page I needed. Well, this person's telling us that they got a book as a gift from someone who did that. They put a bookmark, and that's what happened to them. That the page that the bookmark was in was precisely and exactly something very special that was life-changing for them. They've now finished the book. The book's been helpful, but they're really impacted by, and the most wonderful thing that happened was that bookmark was on the right page. So you might want to try that. Ask God, pray for wisdom first about where to put the bookmarks, and ask Him where, and He'll guide your fingers. And I've had great success with it, and here's another case of someone else also having success with it as well. But be sure to pray first and ask God for wisdom on where to put the bookmark. Our next coincidence miracle is a story about 2 people who are twins. They're sisters. I see them very often at many of our church services. When I attend church services, I often see them. It's been maybe 5 years now. I've seen them over a 5-year period. And I'm always impressed and I'm always impacted. It touches my heart because they dress the same. They seem to be orchestrated where they walk the same. It's like they're both going left, right, left, right. They open their books for music, etc., at the right times. There's so much in unison. I'm so amazed. It's very touching. I don't watch them constantly, but it seems like every time I look at them, I see something synchronized. And so it's been 5 years now. So I was inspired recently to meet with them, just walk up over to them after Mass one day and just share with them how impactful it is, how meaningful it is. And I'm sure it affects other people. And I told them what I feel like. I feel like, the fact that God made two people who are twins, and they are identical twins. I mean, if I had to distinguish one from the other, I couldn't tell you. They are identical twins, but they dress identically with the same things, the same dresses or jackets or same colors of things, and they're the same height. I mean, they're just so they dressed identically. So what it does to me is it reinforces that I'm seeing a miracle. What I mean is, if I saw twins just walking by and they were dressed differently and they weren't walking the same and they weren't in unison, whatever, I would just, not pay too much attention. But this is like watching something like a military band in a parade. When these two people walk by, you cannot miss the fact that they are identical twins, even in their attire and their dress. So I told them that it really impacts me because it makes me think of God. That's what it does. I think of God. I think of how wonderful God is that he made two identical people, perfectly identical. And I know there's triplets and quadruplets, etc. But I'm just so impacted, and I wanted to tell them, and I wanted to express that I'm so grateful that they dress the way they do, and they always come to church together. I don't see them, singularly alone. They come together. They come in together, they leave together, on and on. So, they just make a point that they are a miracle and they act like a miracle. That's what I'm trying to say. They are a miracle and they act like a miracle. They don't just act like just a thing, They act like a miracle. It's like two perfect roses or two perfect tulips growing on the same plant. You'd expect them to look like a miracle tulip and look like a rose miracle. And they responded to me, and this is just why this is such a wonderful coincidence. Their response to me was that is exactly why they do what they do, because that's how they feel. They are very conscious of the fact that they are indeed a miracle. And it brought tears of joy to my eye because, I was feeling this powerful, wonderful feeling about how it's praising God and glorifying God the way they behave. They're actually showing that they are a miracle wherever they go. I'm sure it impacts other people. They work in the same office, so it's got to be doing that over there. They go shopping for groceries together. So, they're just constantly shining this light that we are a miracle. And now I find out that they have been doing this precisely because that's how they feel, and they would not feel proper if they did not radiate the fact that they are a walking, talking miracle, both of them. So I hope I hope I'm saying this right, so you're getting my message. If twins don't act like a miracle, you don't get it, but these people are doing it, and they're a living, walking miracle. It's very touching and moving for me personally. Our next coincidence miracle is from someone who was living on the West Coast. He went to college with some people from Connecticut here in Connecticut, and when they graduated, he got a job out on the West Coast, so he's out on the West Coast. And they communicated by mail. They were still friends from college friends, and he got an opportunity to come to Connecticut, transfer jobs, and move to Connecticut. And so he stayed in touch with his friends. But the miracle in this story is that while they were writing to each other over a 2 or 3 year period while he was living out on the West Coast, he was getting some pictures of his friends. Both of his friends were at similar picnics and parties, so his two Connecticut friends were there, and they would send pictures and notes and things, and text messages, etc. And he got a picture of a group. There was a group at a party or a picnic here in Connecticut, and he got a picture, and he was looking at it and admiring it, and I guess he got a letter with it, so he was getting into the ambiance of the moment and the meaning of the picnic and the party. And his eye caught a view of a very attractive woman, at least attractive to him, in the picture. And when he saw that, when his eye picked up on this person, he felt in his being that he was going to marry her. That's what he felt. He saw this woman, a stranger in this picture, and he thought he was going to marry her. Now, I bring this up because this happened to me when I first saw my wife. When I first saw my wife, it was in high school, and when I first saw her, I had a voice in me. I had not been talking to God in those days. I had not been getting inspirations from God that I knew about. But I saw her in high school, and when I saw her, I had a thought in my head that said, I'm going to marry her. And sure enough, I did, and we were married for 53 years, and now she's in heaven, and she helps me by sending me clues from heaven. But this man had the same thing happen, and when he moved back to Connecticut, got the job in Connecticut, it all worked out. He just coincidentally and accidentally met this woman. I don't know if she's working at the company or what, but he accidentally meets this woman, and now they are setting a date for their wedding. So that's a wonderful coincidence miracle, especially for me, because it reminds me of my own miracle. Our next coincidence miracle is pretty amazing. I was at the beach one day during the summer, and I was passing out cards as I walked along the beach. I met two delightful young ladies. I think they were in their 20s. They really asked a lot of questions. They were very, very, very interested in this whole concept that God does talk to us and God wants to talk to us. We can talk to God all day long. We can ask Him to help us make decisions. They were really asking a lot of questions. They were so delighted. They got started right away. After I spoke to them and left them with the cards and answered their questions, I went on, and on the way out, as I was leaving, going to my car, they were also leaving, going to their car, and they stopped me and they said, this whole thing's not working out for us. They were very negative about it all. They said, it's not working. We've been asking questions all afternoon about who to call, what to say, what to ask, where to go. They left to go back to their car for something, to get something and come back, and things just were not working out. And I explained to them, that's the process. I mean, it's like a tiny baby learning to talk, So it's a process you have to go through. I said, don't give up. You keep talking to God. You keep asking God. And maybe you're going through a babbling phase now where you're not saying the words right and you're not hearing the words right and you don't understand some of the concepts. I don't know what it is, but it's a process. You just keep hanging in there. You keep trying it. Don't give up. We've had 10,000 saints, and 10,000 saints talk to God all the time, and their whole lives were directed. I mean, Joan of Arc ran the French army, won wars with soldiers by her asking God. So if you keep asking God, I told him, don't give up. Well, I didn't think I'd be back the next day, but the next day I was inspired to go back to the beach, and there's 4 beaches there, so I was inspired which beach to go to, and I went to different beaches than I had the prior day, and lo and behold, I was inspired to go to this certain beach. I walk out on the beach. The first 2 people I see are these 2 ladies from the prior day, and they told me that they had just arrived precisely at this moment. They've never come to this beach, number 3 of the 4 beaches, the first time for them, and they just arrived, and I just arrived, and the coincidence of that. So now they're seeing that at least on this second day, when they asked what beach to go to, they wound up going to beach number 3. They never went there before. And then they see me walk out, perfectly timed. So now they believe they're on the right wavelength, and that impacted them very much. And I'm so delighted that I went the second day. Otherwise, this would not have happened. So if you're having this problem, just be persistent. Keep talking to God. Keep asking questions. And over time, may take 2 days or so, it'll work out. God bless you all. I'll talk to you next week.